Hello, everyone, and we appreciate you joining today's call. We're going to be covering PC Bennett's shipping container management solution. The title of today's call is "What Shipping Container Management Can Do for You." We're going to cover what exactly shipping container management is, how it helps you track costs when you're importing containers from overseas, and we're going to demonstrate some new features that our development team has been working on the last few months. Some of you on this call may have already talked to our customer success team about shipping container management. That might have been a general conversation, a little more in depth. You may have even gotten a demo of what shipping container management is. But what we're really excited about today is introducing the product to those of you who haven't seen it or heard of it yet, and also highlighting those new improvements that our development team has made that I referenced earlier. Before we start, just some really brief introductions. I'm Strati Moustakis. I'm the marketing manager at PC Bennett. And I'm joined by Nathan Newberg, who is our technical sales engineer. Nathan is a great advocate for shipping container. He's the right guy to be on this call today. He works on showcasing this product to our customers, as well as clients with Acumatica partners who need something that tracks costs when importing containers. So what that kind of says is that this is a product that's available to the entire Acumatica community. And Nathan really plays a vital role in making sure that we are demonstrating its full capabilities to everyone in Acumatica. So what exactly is shipping container management? I kind of touched on it already, but I can go a little bit more in depth. We created it to help you identify the value of the inventory that you have when importing containers and the costs associated with moving it. So things like landed costs, duties, and tariffs, all of those types of additional fees that you may get charged when importing can be tracked within shipping container management. So that just means that your financials are more accurate and they're representative of the true costs associated with each container that you import. It also helps you automate the creation of certain transactions in your Acumatica ecosystem based on what part of a single PO or multiple POs are included in a single container. Now that we have a bit of a primer, I didn't go too in depth. Nathan's going to help you out there. Let's jump into the meat of the call. So Nathan, I'm going to pass the mic over to you to go over a demonstration of the product. And then we're going to dive into the new features after he does kind of his general overview. So I'll be back in a few minutes just to kind of introduce what those new features are. So Nathan, over to you.
All right, thanks, Strati. Let's take a look at Acumatica and our shipping container management product within it. So we have dashboards and KPIs and full reporting ability, like Strati mentioned, when it comes to financials. You can see I've got my homepage set today as the purchasing manager dashboard. We're bringing things into our company. We're importing them from overseas. And I think a lot of what you're going to find today is in the name, right? We are going to be managing our shipping containers. And when we are managing containers, oftentimes we take ownership of that inventory as it ships, and we need to reflect those numbers on our financials. We also have, in recent times, a lot of challenges with landed costs and other shipping costs, like Strati said, associated with these containers, and we need to account for those. So managing the financials is really at the core of this solution. You can see because our product runs directly on the Acumatica framework, it installs as a customization package, and it's licensed by PC Bennett. So if we take a look at a new container order screen, you can see in the purchases workspace, we've got a few items starred here that associate with our container workflow. Let's go ahead and open up a new container order screen, and you can see some of the details here that are going to help us manage these containers. We've got auto numbering turned on, so we can auto number those containers. You don't have to specify those. A few other things on the screen, like the priority of the container. You'll note that we now support drop shipping. That'll come later in the demonstration. And a few other attributes that manage our container workflow, things like the shipment method code and the reason code, things like that. All of those are set up as attributes in Acumatica, so you can manage what is priority to your organization. And if you have any other shipment method codes or shipping reason codes, things like that can be managed by you in particular relation to your industry and your particular business. All right, plus many other container orders preferences. Again, in the purchases workspace, we have container preferences. We'll just talk a little bit briefly about the setup here. We're not going to go too deep into this, but you'll note that those attributes, setting things like the default shipping line and other defaulted fields here are going to save you a lot of time when it comes to managing the workflow and the containers that flow within it. Also, we are going to be able to lock some of the fields on the container details, tracking details screen, so that you can set those things in stone and have some reliable data as well. The transfer containers themselves exist as entities in Acumatica. So on the transfer containers screen, we've set up some profiles. You see we've got a couple examples here, dry 20-foot, a 40-foot, and maybe a refrigerated container if you're bringing in some items that are perishable or can expire. How the container is typed, whether that's going to be on a ship, train, and these are really just informative for your industry so you can understand how things are moving. And then we'll set some maximum payload and capacity statistics here so that you can understand more or less when the container fills up. We are also utilizing Acumatica's multiple warehouse functionality, where we're going to configure an in-transit warehouse. The in-transit warehouse is going to be where your inventory is held while it's moving across the water. After it leaves the port and you take ownership, until it arrives at your destination or at the destination port. There may be some time between the port and your destination warehouse, also that are going to be essential for managing this inventory before it actually arrives at your final destination. Things like GL accounts and the inventory asset value, where that inventory is stored while it's moving. Again, these things typically are a liability until you receive them. You've taken on the responsibility and are going to have that as an inventory asset until you have the accounts payable to offset that. We're also going to configure some of our vendors in Acumatica as shipping lines. On the vendors screen, you can see that we've added a checkbox down here that indicates that this vendor is a shipping line. That's going to allow us to select it from the list on our container screen if we're shipping with multiple shipping lines. We can also designate vessels at the container level as locations in the vendor's profile. So things like the name of the ship, if you're using one vendor for multiple different shipments and you want to differentiate those, the locations or vessel name is going to help you do that. All right, so again, we can see all of those things on the containers preferences screen. How we're shipping, where we're storing those things by default. We can have multiple in-transit warehouses. So maybe you have some inventory on the Pacific and some on the Atlantic. If you wanted to differentiate that, you could certainly do so. And again, those defaults here, you can see that the shipping lines appear as selectable in the default shipping line field here. And we can also override that at the individual container level. Also, if we are supporting drop shipping, if you do drop ship full containers, we can certainly do that now. It's been a large and in-demand request from some of our clients and now supported. All right, so that's a brief overview of the containers screen. Let's head back to our dashboard here. I'll close out some other tabs, and you can note that we've got some container orders in process, and I've got a little pivot table here indicating quantities by warehouse so we can see what is currently in transit and what is not. Also, our standard reports in Acumatica, things like the inventory balance report. We can take a look at that before we begin our demonstration to see that in the in-transit warehouse, we do have some inventory on the water. There's 1,000 units of the Powerade item here, but nothing else. So we'll come back to this and see how that changes as the orders flow through. Other reports like the storage details by warehouse location, similar to that first report we just saw in a GI format, you can see what is on the water in transit, for example, by location, by warehouse. If we were to clear this out, you'd probably see them all. And then just a different view of those things. Pivot tables make this really easy to see in summary format. So if you wanted to see all of the items in transit warehouse versus the other warehouses, that pivot table makes it really easy to summarize all the data. We can expand fields, and of course, with all of our reports in Acumatica, all these numbers are drillable, so we can drill right in and see what consists of those summary numbers. All right, so that's a bit of an overview. Let's head back to our PowerPoint, talk a little bit about the agenda again and some of the new features.
Yeah, really appreciate that overview, Nathan. We're now going to move over to those new features that he just talked about. The first feature we're going to review is a cool one because it kind of shows you how we are making sure that Shipping Container is keeping up with the latest releases that are in Acumatica. So as some of you may have been on our last webinar, What's New in 25R1, you know that lot and serial at the support at the attribute level is available. And so we've made that available in container management as well. And so, sorry, I lost my spot. This feature is really important with containers that have products that need specific attributes tracked, like expiration dates or quality of items in the container. As Nathan and I were prepping for the What's New in 25R1 webinar, one way that we were kind of trying to associate it in terms of like quality of items is I buy things from Best Buy a ton. And I find that shopping open box is effective for me because I'm price conscious. And so like you can see if something's in excellent condition, good, poor. And so that's kind of what we're talking about in terms of this lot serial attribute support. So Nathan's going to show you how we can do that with shipping container management and how you'd be able to apply that to the products that you're importing.
Yes, indeed. All right. Thanks, Strati. Okay, so in order to move some containers, we're going to need some purchase orders, or transfer orders are also supported if you're moving inventory from one warehouse that you own to another warehouse that you own. In this demonstration, we're going to focus mostly on the purchases of items. So let's enter some new purchase orders so we'll have some data to work with. I'm going to go ahead and open up the new purchase order screen. We'll choose a vendor here. ETIC Food Supplies. We're going to add some inventory items, in this case, our sports drinks. We'll bring in some inventory, maybe 9,000 pieces, units of that item. As we take the order off of hold, you'll see that that's going to trigger, likely going to trigger an approval that we've got set up in our Acumatica. So let's just go ahead and approve that. While we're here on the purchase order, we can take a closer look at that particular inventory item and note that this one is lot tracked. So it comes into us in lots. This particular lot class in Acumatica, we use classes a lot to make things streamlined and uniform, is going to be assigned automatically when we're receiving this inventory. And that's sort of a requirement for our container management solution at this point, because we need to give it an inventory item as soon as that gets into our in-transit warehouse. I'm sorry, a lot number as soon as that gets into our in-transit warehouse. Although with the 25R1 attributes, we can also assign other things, including the flavor in this case, or the quality, like Strati mentioned, if we're bringing in some lightly used items, as well as expiration dates. On this one, we are tracking expiration dates, or any other inventory attributes. So if you're getting a lot number assigned by the manufacturer's lot number is also supported in those lot attributes. So we can auto number our lots and have that reflected as a cross-reference to the manufacturer's lot number. Okay, so now that we've got one open purchase order, let's open one more so that we can demonstrate how we can bring in multiple items from different vendors and different purchase orders. We're going to add some circuit boards. In this case, maybe 9 of those. So we've got 9,000 and 9 circuit boards. This item happens to be serialized. So again, the serial number is going to be assigned by our system. When we bring it in, auto incrementing, we can also reflect the manufacturer's serial number on that particular item as soon as we begin the process. Okay, so we'll take this one off of hold as well. And now we have 2 open purchase orders that we should be ready to process into a container. Let's go ahead and open up a new container order then. All right, you can see at the top of the screen, we've got some defaulted fields like we described earlier. Everything's going to fit in a 20-foot this case, coming in through our in-transit warehouse over our Costco shipping company line and ending up in our wholesale destination warehouse. You can see if we did have an originating warehouse or if this was a transfer from one of our warehouses, we could indicate that here and have that type supported as well. So the last required field in the header is the embarkment ID. Let's go ahead and select one. This might be coming from Taiwan. It's going to take a few days to get here. So as soon as we save the order, it's going to open up the buttons down here at the bottom to allow us to add a purchase order or a purchase order line if we have particular items on a purchase order that we want to segregate into multiple containers, or maybe the PO is too big to fit in a single container. We can do that in granular form here. So as we click the Add PO button, we're going to sort these descending by date, and you can see that we've got our 2 brand new purchase orders at the top, one for the Powerade and one for the circuit boards. I'll go ahead and add those both at the same time. Again, utilizing Acumatica's power of automation here, we can have separate purchase orders, and all of the lines within those purchase orders import all at once. So it makes it very easy to manage large orders like this that exist on a container. Let's go ahead and enter one of the quantities here so we can indicate. You can see that the red asterisk here says that we need to tell the system how many we're shipping. Usually the vendor is going to let us know how many are being sent, whether that's the entire PO or a part of it, and we can indicate that here. If we wanted to upload records from a file, we could export a screen from another area of Acumatica and use that as an import here and load hundreds of lines at one time if need be. The other feature that is going to enable us to streamline our workflow here are the ship line and ship all buttons. So if we are indicating that we're going to ship everything that's being sent today, we click the ship all button, and you can see that it automatically copies the ordered quantity into the shipped quantity for us and saves us a few clicks there. So we'll go ahead and save the order, and then maybe we can indicate some tracking details. If there's a container order number, tracking number that we could indicate here, we are expecting this to ship sometime in the next month. Then we are going to receive it sometime after that. And the expected destination receipt might happen a few days after it arrives at the port. So those fields there are going to help us track the inventory's timeline and when we should expect to receive it. While these fields are just for reporting, they can be used to drive other business events in Acumatica. So if you wanted to send out notifications or things like that, all of those features utilizing Acumatica's default workflows and business events can power your notifications and things like that. We'll select a vessel name here so that we can identify that. We'll give it a description and maybe a seal number. The shipment method, we're going to take this as free on board, and the reason in this case over the ocean. So things like the master bill of lading you might want to indicate here, or a house bill of lading. We've got areas for you to put those numbers into your system. All right, so we'll go ahead and save some of those tracking details. You can see that the container payload tab is going to show us how much of our container is utilized in terms of weight and volume. We've got plenty of available space, so we know we haven't overfilled it. Again, these are utilizing Acumatica's inventory statistics, so the weight and volume on your inventory items are being calculated here as part of that. The customer tab really helps us when we're doing some drop shipping. We may have some destination addresses and things like that. Okay, so now that we've got all of the details into our container order, we can save that again and make sure that everything is good to go. Now, when I click Remove Hold and I release this container, what's going to happen in the background is the system is actually going to generate a purchase receipt for us. It's going to receive that inventory into our warehouse, our in-transit warehouse, And all of the required features in Acumatica's receiving workflows are going to be indicated there. So when I click receipt, that's going to prompt an error here because one of our inventory items requires an expiration date, which we haven't indicated yet. So let's go ahead and fill in that field. The Powerade item, it's telling us we need to let it know when that is going to expire. Maybe that's sometime in a couple years from now. They've got a nice long shelf life. And we go ahead and save that. And now we should be able to release the container. Keep an eye on these fields here, the purchase order transfer receipt number. Those will get populated, and we can talk about what is happening in the background in terms of your inventory values.
While we wait for that to finish executing, I will say you chose my sister's birthday for the expiration date. So great choice in day, I would say.
All right. I'll make sure to get it there before her party.
Perfect.
All right, let's go ahead and drill into one of these purchase receipts. And we can take a look at what's going on in the background in terms of your GL and accounting. So we can see that we've got 9,000 units received. On the other tab, we do have an inventory batch, and that inventory batch is reflecting the value of inventory moving into our GL. So our inventory asset account is being debited, our inventory purchase accrual account is being credited until we get the AP bill to offset that. And don't have the feature turned on to automatically generate the AP bill. If we did, we could certainly generate the vendor's bill at the same time and save ourselves a step down the line. But in this case, we haven't received the bill yet, so we're just waiting for that to come in and accruing the inventory value in the meantime. All right. Okay, so also at this point, we can note that we do have the ability to add some lot and serial details. So if we take a look at the new lot serial details screen on Acumatica's interface here, you can see we've got a list for every lot number that's been received. You can see the automatically assigned lot number here. I've added a side panel just so that we can quickly and easily make some changes. If the manufacturer has their own lot number, we could add that here as well. Things like the flavor, we might want to indicate this is a fruit punch in this case. The description and history, and even the sales cost can be defined at the lot number, at the lot level. All right. Okay, now if we take another look at that inventory balance report, one of those standard reports in Acumatica, we can see that in the in-transit warehouse, we do now have some new lines. So we can see that the Powerade has gone from 1,000 to 10,000, adding the 9,000 we just received. So it's a summary report here. We've also got the circuit boards, 9 units in transit as well. Also, if we refresh our pivot tables here, you should see the total summary on our pivot table here on our dashboard also increasing. So real-time data live and in Acumatica gives us full visibility into what's going on. We can see we've got that new in-transit container order right here on our home screen. Okay, this is one of the bigger parts of the demo. So I'm actually going to start adding some other features. So maybe at this point, we might be understanding how many landed costs we might be receiving, or maybe we've got some advanced notice of some landed cost. So we can select one of our landed cost codes here from Acumatica, maybe customs. In this case, we know it's going to have to clear customs, and maybe that's going to cost us some money. We don't need to process the landed costs at this point, although we can begin collecting them. So this is a challenge in workflow for some of our clients. They need a place to put these things until the inventory arrives. So these things come in over time, and we need the ability to collect them and store them until it's time to process them. All right, so now in our demo world, we can fast forward time a little bit. Maybe a couple of weeks have passed, and we're getting notice that the inventory is arriving at the port. We can begin the receiving, or maybe there's a delay. If the inventory is delayed at the port, we have an option to hold it at the port. You can see that there is one container order already being held at the port. That's something that we are possibly losing money on if that's not yet cleared, or if those delays are going to cost us time in getting that inventory to our customers. Okay, so now the next logical step is to begin the receiving. Maybe we've gotten an indication now that it has left the port, it is arriving at our destination warehouse, and when I click the begin receiving button, that's going to open up some fields here for us to input our received quantities. So you can see we've got the quantity received shows 0. If everything comes in good order, we can click the receive all button, and again, just like the ship all button, it's going to copy the values for us, and in a couple of clicks here we can complete the receiving. All right, take a note of the transfer order and transfer receipt fields here, and you'll have some understanding of what's happening in the background. So Acumatica is actually generating a transfer order, a sales order of transfer type, to move the inventory out of our in-transit warehouse and into our destination warehouse. So at the same time, it is also generating that transfer receipt to complete that two-step transfer. The transfer order number here is indicated. Takes another second for the inventory to be received. And then we'll take a look at the journal transactions to understand what's going on in the background there. We'll give it just another minute here. So it's doing a lot of work for us. It's receiving multiple orders. It's also handling some of the landed cost processing for us. So we can see there how that is applied and how it takes effect. As we receive the inventory, the landed cost transaction is being generated in the background as well and being applied to the inventory value. So let's go ahead and take a look at the journal and take a look at our GL transactions. So if we filter to the 25th, today's date, you see we have the initial inventory receipt of those items. And then here we've got the transfer values. So out and back in. We'll take a look at the details here and the line items. You can see that we are moving inventory out of our inventory asset into our goods in transit account, and then receiving that back, both inventories out of inventory asset and into our goods in transit. And then if we flip to the next one, that gets reversed as we receive the inventory back into our asset account at the destination warehouse. We've also got a landed cost transaction that was processed in the background. So if I pull up that inventory batch, we can see here our landed cost accrual account is being credited and our inventory asset account debited. So you can take a look at the source document here to see the details of the landed cost processing and how that's been done. Okay. If we take a look at the inventory transaction history report in Acumatica, we should be able to see that we've got a couple of, let's just go ahead and filter to today's date. We've got a couple of receipts and an adjustment there. If we indicate here, take a look at the unit cost, and if we include landed costs in the unit cost, we can see that that is being reflected in our inventory value at that final transfer destination. All right, so that was a little bit about managing inventory with lot and serial support in Acumatica. One more thing about landed costs is it's possible that those were just estimates at that time. So if we take a look at the landed cost tab and that landed cost reference number, we'll drill in there and see that with our container solution, we've added the ability to reverse a landed cost as well. So maybe that, again, was just an estimate. The actual cost ends up being a little more than that or a little less than that. We can quickly and easily reverse that landed cost, make some changes, and then have that corrected in a new landed cost transaction. On the landed cost transaction tab here, you can see that it has been reversed. If we make an adjustment to the value here, we can see that the new value is input, and it'll give us a chance to process that as actual. So clicking the process landed cost button is going to do the same thing as receiving the inventory. We drill into the landed cost transaction, and we can see how that's been applied, in this case by cost, and the allocated amounts there. One more look at the inventory transaction history. This should show us the new calculated value if we include that in landed cost. All right, there we go. Okay, so back to you, Strati. We can talk about the next new features.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for that demonstration. And so now we are going to talk about how shipping container management features support for project management. If you're actively using Acumatica's project feature, you can now tag certain containers to specific projects to have all the associated costs from that container in said project. And that just makes sure that you're accounting for each and every project, and all the information associated with it is in your single source of truth that is Acumatica. So there's less going to Excel spreadsheets and stuff that you try to avoid when you purchase a full-fledged ERP. So this is really just a way to make sure that Acumatica is truly that one single source of truth, including for all of the individual projects that you work on. So Nathan, over to you for this one.
Thanks, bud. Okay, so let's take a look at our list of projects here. Again, having project-specific inventory turned on means that we can manage inventory by project. We can receive inventory into the project and have it pre-allocated so that it gets reserved for that project, and of course, costed to the project. If you take a look at the side panels that are included on the project screen, we have a current project inventory side panel that's going to show us any inventory that's allocated to the project. Currently, we have none. On the Commitments tab, there's a button to quickly create a purchase order that's related to the project. When I click that, it opens up the new purchase order tab, just like we had for a non-project inventory purchase. You can see that the project is specified here automatically. We can input the vendor and start bringing in some inventory. So we've got a services vendor. In this case, we're bringing in some machines for our project. Maybe 3 in this case. These machines are serialized also, so the serial numbers can be indicated at the lot and class level. If you have any attributes in 25R1, now we can indicate those as well. So let's go ahead and take this off of hold. Oops. We do need a project task assigned because we are tracking this inventory at the task level. Oops. And we can indicate here whether that's task 1 or task 2. Okay, and we'll approve the order. Now we have an open project-related purchase order. We'll go ahead and add that to our container order and show you where the project can be specified. Creating a new container order, we'll select the embarkment ID. Maybe this is coming from Mumbai. Go ahead and save, add a PO. Today's open purchase orders are available there at the top. That's the 60,000 for the 3 machines. Okay, so we'll indicate here that we've got 3 going to be shipped. No expiration date on this one, but please note at these 2 tabs, we do have the project ID and the project task automatically being imported from the purchase order. So we'll go ahead and take the order off of hold and release it. We didn't input any container tracking information, although that could have been done on the previous step. Some of those fields are locked in this case. So that's a preference that we had set up on our orders preferences screen. If you wanted to have that in a different configuration, you have control over how that gets fixed or remains open at what point in the order. In other words, those fields can be locked. Okay, so now that we've got the container on the water, we can again fast forward time and begin receiving the inventory. When I click begin receiving, that's going to give us the opportunity to input the quantity received. If we received more or less than was shipped, we would have the opportunity to also take some action. The system can generate a second purchase receipt or a straight inventory receipt, or if we have inventory that was damaged and needs to be returned, the container management enhancement can also automatically generate the return orders so that you can expect to receive the that debit memo credited from your vendor. So we'll go ahead and save that. And when I click complete receiving, we should be able to now understand that this inventory has been received into our destination warehouse and automatically allocated to our project. So let's go ahead and let that process. And when it completes, we'll be able to flip back to the projects tab and refresh our project inventory tab, our side panel here, and see now that we have 3 machines allocated to the project. So again, a great feature for those who are using project inventory and need to have those allocations automatically done, and of course the costing available with it. All right, Strati, if you'll move us on to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. And so this is going to be the last new feature that we highlight today. What I will say is that while Nathan's reviewing this one, if anyone has any questions that might have came up throughout the webinar, feel free to use the comment section and post your question, and then we'll be able to address it once he's finished with this last new feature that our dev team added to shipping container management. So with that, the last new feature is drop shipping capabilities. Nathan has kind of hinted at that a few times throughout this call today. And so now he's going to kind of go into it at a little bit of a deeper level. But really, this was just a cumbersome process in the past, and tracking those costs associated with dropship orders was a challenge, if not impossible in some instances. But we have altered shipping container management to be much more suited to businesses that do dropship. And so Nathan's going to now show us how we can execute on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Strati. Okay, so let's head back to our home screen, close out some of the other tabs. And as you know, typically a dropship order begins with a sales order. So let's go ahead and enter a new sales order where we can select a customer, our favorite customer at the top of the list there. And we'll indicate some inventory that the customer is ordered. Some air hockey tables, getting ready for the holidays coming up. Maybe we're going to bring in 5 or 6 of those for them. You can see that this inventory item is predefined as a drop ship item. It's not one that we keep in stock typically. So at the inventory item level, we've indicated that we source this from our vendors when we take orders for it, and don't need to generally buy this for stock. We're going to only buy it when we have an order. So we've predefined that at the item level, enabling our workflows to be streamlined and efficient. You can see that as we've got a mark for PO checkbox checked, we also have a create purchase order button right here at the top of the screen. We can utilize to automatically generate that purchase order for us. So this is something that can be done one-off like we're doing today, or can be scheduled in Acumatica's automations. Makes it very easy to manage things like this that happen regularly, and enables you to do a lot more with the power of computing and automation in Acumatica. When I click the Process All button, that's going to go ahead and generate the purchase order for us to our default vendor. It's going to utilize our last cost in the system, give us a chance to review that and maybe make some changes if need be. Make sure that everything looks good. When we take it off of hold, that goes straight to open because it's under our threshold. And now we can begin communicating that to the vendor, or again, have those emails automated in the background and let the system take care of that for us. Okay, so we've got an open dropship purchase order that we can now add to our new container order. Go ahead and make a new one of those. All right, these might be coming from Shanghai. Go ahead and save the order. We'll add a purchase order in this case. There it is at the top of the screen. Not that one. I know why. This is a dropship purchase order, so we need to indicate that this is a dropship container. When we have a dropship container, we're also going to need a customer. So when we select the customer from the list here, you can see that when we add purchase orders, it's going to find only the dropship purchase orders for that customer and enable us to add those to the container. Okay, there we go. I'll input the quantity shipped here. and go ahead and take the container order off of hold. So when we're drop shipping, the inventory doesn't arrive at our destination warehouse. You can see that some of those fields have been removed for us automatically, very easy. When the customer or vendor indicates that that has been delivered to the customer, you can see the customer's information here and where it's going at the container level. When I click release, the inventory is going to move through our financials and arrive at the customer's destination. That's going to complete the sales order for us. So you can see here, if we drill back through the purchase order, or we open our list of sales orders, we'll now find that that dropship purchase order at the top has been completed. On the shipments tab, you can see that the system generated an auto receipt for us. That is a purchase receipt type, but it is also the shipment to the inventory to the customer. So there we go. Ready to move through our AR workflows. We can generate the invoice to the customer and have that payment applied. All right, so pretty simple stuff, but definitely powerful in terms of helping customers with full container drop shipments, manage their workflows, and all of the inventory values that flow through the system. Those new features definitely in high demand.
Yeah, cool. And I don't think we have any questions. I'll give it a second, but I will just kind of start my wrap up and see if anything rolls in. So to close out today's call, we just really want to say thank you more than anything for attending. I hope you're leaving with some really good takeaways in terms of how shipping container management can enhance your overall shipping operation and make sure that you have the right financials and tracking the appropriate financials with the containers that you are importing or transferring from warehouse to warehouse. Nathan, I appreciate you calling out warehouse to warehouse. That was not something that I mentioned in my intro. This is why he's the pro, guys. I am merely just the marketing guy. He is the expert with shipping container. If you have any questions regarding shipping container, your customer success manager will be able to help you with any additional questions or inquiries, whether that's Patty, Karen, or Will. All of their emails are on screen right now, as well as our main office's phone lines. Yeah, so it doesn't look like there's any questions. So Nathan, once again, I just want to say a huge thank you to you. You did an awesome job today. It's greatly appreciated. And everyone else, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you too, Strati. Have a great day, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.